Hello guys, welcome to the second lecture on electric charges and electric field. In today's video we're going to discuss about Coulomb's law and also some sample problems on Coulomb's law. Fine, so let's get started. The first thing is Coulomb's law. Alright. Now you might remember in your 11th standard in gravitation chapter you have studied about Newton's law of gravity. So if you remember, Newton's law of gravity gives the force between two masses, that is gravitational force between two masses. If I have two masses m1 and m2 separated by a distance d, then these two masses will attract each other with some force, and that force with which these two masses attract each of them is proportional to product of their masses and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Very fundamental, inverse square law. This is also called as inverse square law. Was given by Newton. Okay. Now if you remove this proportionality symbol, you had this proportionality constant, which is universal gravitational constant g m1 m2 divided by d square. So basically Newton's law of gravity gave us a formula to find out force between two masses. Alright. Now we all know that if two charges are there, like both are positive charges, positive charges will repel each other. Negative charges also will repel each other. Negative charges will attract each other. So we know that there is going to be some amount of force between these charges. Now we want to know how much is the force. Just like we have a formula to find out gravitational force of attraction between two masses, similarly we do have a formula to find out the force of attraction or repulsion between two charges. Okay, and that's given by Coulomb. And that's given by Coulomb and known as Coulomb's law. And what is the statement of this Coulomb's law? It states that, this statement is also very important. It states that the electrostatic force. What do you mean by this electrostatic force? Electrostatic force is nothing but the force between two charges, as simple as that. Okay? The force between two charges which are at rest. Static means rest. Okay? Electro is related to charge. So electrostatic force means the force that exists between two charges which are at rest, as simple as that. Okay? So I'm just going to remove this part. So the force between, it states that the electrostatic force between two charges is directly proportional to product of the charge, product of the magnitude of charge, or magnitude of charges, and inversely proportional to, okay, and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Now this is very similar to Newton's law of gravity, right? Let us understand it with a diagram. So let's say we have a charge q1 here and we have another charge here q2, and let's say the separation between these two charges is d. Now if you remember, the gravitational force is always an attractive force, whereas electrostatic force can either be attractive force or repulsive force depending on the nature of the charges. If both are positive charges or both are negative charges, they will repel each other. If they are unlike charges, like one is positive, the other is negative, then they will attract each other. So now for time being, let us assume here both the charges are positive. So that means the second charge will be repelled by the first charge, and the first charge will also be repelled by the second charge. Now these forces are mutual forces. So these two forces, that is force experienced by the second charge due to first charge, so I'm just going to write it as F21, and force experienced by the first charge due to second charge, these two forces are mutual forces, right? And they will always be equal and opposite in direction. Remember, any mutual force They will always be equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. So here the force on the second charge is to the right and force on the first charge is to the left. Now why are the forces like this? Because they are positive charges, right? And now this force, how much is the force? This force that exists between these two charges is directly proportional to product of the charge, magnitude of charges, product of magnitude of charges, and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. The distance between them is d. Now this is very important. If you remember, this is very similar to what? Newton's law of gravity. Okay, product of the force between two masses directly proportional to product of the mass, inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Now if you remove the proportionality symbol here, we have a proportionality constant, which is 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon q1 q2 divided by d square. The name of this symbol is epsilon. Okay, name of this symbol is epsilon. Now what is this epsilon? Where epsilon is called absolute permittivity, absolute permittivity of a medium, absolute permittivity of a medium. Now this permittivity is a property of a material, okay, property of the medium between these two charges. Gravitational force between two masses doesn't depend on the medium between them, like whether you keep two masses in air or two masses in water or two masses in some oil, two masses in some other liquid. No matter where you keep, the gravitational attractional force between them is always given by gm1 m2 by d square, whereas the force between two charges depends on the medium between them. Very important. The force between two charges depends on the medium between them. If you keep two charges in air medium, then the interactional force between them, that is electrostatic force between them, will be high. If you keep the same two charges in some other medium, then the electrostatic force between them will get altered. It depends on the medium that is present in between them. Okay, so now that property that says how much is going to be the force between two charges is nothing but this permittivity of a medium. Okay, this permittivity is further written as, this permittivity is further written as epsilon naught into epsilon r. This epsilon is further written as epsilon naught into epsilon r. Again, what is this epsilon naught? Epsilon naught is nothing but permittivity of free space, or you can say permittivity of free space or permittivity of air. Okay, and the value of epsilon naught is 8.854 into 10 to the power of minus 12. And the unit, if you want to know what is the unit of epsilon, you can send this epsilon to the LHS, send the force to RHS. So here you have product of charges, unit of charge is coulomb. I have said it in the last lecture itself. So coulomb into coulomb is coulomb square, and in the denominator you have distance square, so unit of distance is meter, so meter square in the denominator. And I have sent this force to the RHS because I want to know unit of epsilon. Okay, so therefore the unit of this epsilon will become coulomb square per unit of force, which is Newton, and the unit of distance is meter, and meter square it will be. Okay, so coulomb square per Newton meter square is a unit of epsilon naught. Okay, so its value is fixed, it's a constant. And this epsilon r, what we have, is called as relative permittivity. Okay, relative permittivity of a medium. Relative permittivity of a medium. This is also called by another name, dielectric constant. This is also called by another name, dielectric constant. Dielectric constant. Now whose value will be different for different material. Okay, so epsilon r value for air is 1. Epsilon r equal to 1 for air, remember that. Okay, and the same epsilon r is infinity for conductor. Okay, for conductor. What are conductors? Conductors are those which possess free electrons. Okay, they can allow the electrical current to pass through it. So epsilon r value is infinity for conductor. All right, so that means now if I have two charges in air medium. Okay, I'm just going to write that under note. If I have two charges in air medium, say I have q1 here and q2 here, okay, and these two are separated by distance d, and what I have, the medium here is air medium. Okay, I'll write air as a medium or vacuum. Then the force of electrostatic force between them can directly be written as 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 divided by d square. Directly I can write like this. Why did I not write epsilon r here? Because the formula is what? 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon q1 q2 divided by d square. That epsilon is further equal to epsilon naught into epsilon r, whereas epsilon r is 1 for air medium, right? So therefore I have just written 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by d square. I did not write epsilon r here because I have kept these two charges in air medium. Okay, let me also highlight, this is a very important formula, right? Now this is nothing but force between two charges in air medium. Now further, this is also written as, this every time I don't have to calculate this 1 by 4 pi epsilon is anyway constant. So that is written as simply k q1 q2 divided by d square. K q1 q2 divided by d square. Now what is k here? Where k is, the value of k is 9 into 10 power 9. You have to substitute. If you substitute and calculate, the epsilon naught value is 8.854 into 10 to the power of minus 12. You substitute everything and calculate, you will get the value as 9 into 10 to the power of 9. Okay, so therefore henceforth, if two charges are kept in air medium, then the force between those two charges is directly written as k q1 q2 by d square. Okay, so this is the formula that you will have to remember, k q1 q2 divided by d square, where k is 9 into 10 to the power of 9. q1 and q2 are the charges and d is the distance between two charges. Alright, now if I keep the same two charges, in some other medium, okay, in some other medium I'm going to keep these two charges. Let's see that. So I have this charge q1 and charge q2 separated by the same distance. Now I'm going to keep these two charges in some other medium, say some water medium, okay, some medium. So we kept these two charges in some other medium now. Okay, now how much will be the force between them? What will be the formula? Force between two charges when you keep them in medium is F medium is 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught. Epsilon r also you should write because it is some other medium, it is not air medium. If it is air, epsilon r value is 1, right? So 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught epsilon r q1 q2 divided by d square. So that will be the force between these two charges. Again, well, is it a repulsive force or attractive force? Depends on the polarity of the charge. If both are positive charges, it will be a repulsive force, or if both are negative charges, it will be a repulsive force. If they are unlike charges, like positive and negative, they will attract. Okay, so the direction of the force we can easily find out whether looking at the polarity. Okay, what we are now writing is the magnitude of force, how much is the force, which direction, that we will know by looking at the polarity of the charge. Okay, now here 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught is already known to us, which is nothing but k, right? This entire thing is nothing but k, right? And in the denominator I have epsilon r, I'll write as it is. So q1 q2 divided by d square. Okay, so that is nothing but force between two charges when these two charges are kept in some other medium. Now again you should make another observation. Force between two charges in any medium is nothing but k into q1 q2 by d square, and then you have into 1 by epsilon r. So that means, can I write force between two charges in any medium is nothing but force between same two charges in an air medium divided by relative permittivity of that medium, right? This is very, very important. Now from this even we define relative permittivity of a medium. Okay, now force between two charges in any medium in any other medium other than air is nothing but force between same two charges in air medium, force between same two charges in air medium divided by the relative permittivity of that medium. Okay. Now from this we're going to define epsilon r. Epsilon r is nothing but F air divided by F medium. Okay. So ratio of, I'll write it here. This is a important question for CBSE, and even if you are studying in a state board, this is going to be very important. They will ask how do you define relative permittivity of a medium? Okay, you can write the relative permittivity of a medium is defined as ratio of, you can start like that. Okay, I'm just directly writing epsilon r is defined as ratio of force between two charges in air to the force between same two charges in a given medium separated by same distance, separated by same distance. Okay, that will give you relative permittivity of that medium. All right, now this much is very important. You should remember the basics of Coulomb's law. Okay, now we are going to discuss Coulomb's law in vector form. Okay, Coulomb's law in vector form. Coulomb's law in vector form. It's very simple. Just you have to write the same thing in vector form. So how are we going to write? Take the same two charges. So let's say I have two charges here, Q1 and Q2. Okay, Q1 and Q2. See, books will say different things. NCERT says something, different books will say something. What they mean is very simple, which is what I'm going to explain. Okay, now let us say I have two charges Q1 and Q2 separated by some distance. Okay, separated by some distance. Let me write that distance as d. As usual, we have taken that as d, right? Now these two are positive charges is what I'm assuming, right? These two are positive charges. Let me also mention that, plus Q1 and plus Q2. Now Q2 will experience a force to the right. Okay, Q2 will experience a force to the right. Let me write as F21. And Q1 will experience a force to the left. Force experienced by the first charge due to second charge is F12. Now if I want to write this in a vector form, I'm going to write F21 vector as, I'm assuming again this is an air medium, so directly I can write K Q1 Q2 divided by d square, K Q1 Q2 divided by d square into I cap. Now what is this I cap? I cap is the unit vector. I cap is the unit vector indicating which direction? Right direction. I should mention that. Instead of I cap you can write something, d cap also you can write. Okay, and then you should say what is the d cap. So here I'll write it as I cap. I'll write where I cap is a unit vector from directed from, let me write like that, unit vector directed from, okay, directed from where to where? Q1 to Q2, directed from Q1 to Q2. Now similarly F21, the force experienced by the second charge, okay, this I just wrote F21. Let me write F12, force experienced by the first charge due to second charge. Force experienced by the first charge due to the second charge is just exactly equal to force experienced by the second charge due to first charge, but in the opposite direction. Force experienced by the first charge is also K Q1 Q2 divided by d square, but what is the direction? Minus I cap, because it is to the left. Okay, so now if you look at these, can I write F21 is equal to, or F12 is equal to, F12 in vector form is equals to minus of F21 in vector form. You see, both of them are equal, just sign is opposite. Okay, so that is your vector form. I've already told mutual forces are always equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. So electrostatic force is a mutual force. Okay, they are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. Okay, now if you take the ratio of the forces, you know, force ratio of force experienced by the first charge to the ratio of, to the force experienced by the second charge will always give you 1, because F12 divided by F21 magnitude wise they are equal, so the ratio will be 1:1. So this type of question can also be asked in competitive exams. Okay, obviously not JEE and all, because JEE questions will be not so simple, but in local competitive exams, like if you are in, you know, Karnataka or Andhra, Telangana, local competitive exams, they can ask these kind of questions. All right. Now is that we discussed Coulomb's law, um, and you know, different cases in that, like force between two charges in air, force between two charges in any other medium, and then how do we define epsilon r. All these things we have discussed. Now we will do a small problem on this Coulomb's law. Okay, right. So now some sample problems. So first is very basic. Let's say if F is the force between two charges, then what will be the new force? What will be the new force? New force if if both the charges are doubled and the distance is halved. Okay, it's very simple. They're saying that F is a force between two charges. Okay, if F is a force between two charges, then what will be the new force if both the charges are doubled and the distance between them is halved? So it's like you have charge q1 here and q2 here. Okay, now let us say they are separated by distance d. The force between them can be written as k q1 q2 divided by d square. Now these two charges are doubled, so this becomes 2q1, and the other charge also becomes 2q2. Okay, 2q2, and the distance between them is becoming half of the initial distance. So now what will be the new force? The new force can be written as k into 2q1 multiplied by 2q2 whole divided by distance between them, d by 2 the whole square. All right, and that will turn out to be how much? Numerator 2 2s are 4, and in the denominator you have d by 2 the whole square, which will be d square by 4. So this 4 will go to the numerator. Already there is a 4 in the numerator. Okay, so it will become 16k q1 q2 divided by d square. Right, this is your f dash. So the new force will become 16 times initial force, because initial force is q1 q2 by d square. So I can write the new force is 16 times initial force. Very simple. Right, now gradually we will increase the difficulty. The second problem can be something like this. Okay, find the net force acting on any one of the charge charge from the below diagram. Okay, so they have given a equilateral triangle. They have kept three equal charges. Okay, they have kept three equal charges at the corners of a triangle, and the side is d. Okay, the side is d. The length of the side is d. Now they're asking you to find out the net charge acting on any one of the charge. Let us consider, you know, we are finding the net charge acting on this charge at this corner. Let us also name the corners A, B, and C. Okay. Now charge at all the corners are Q, and let us find out what will be the direction of force that the charge at B will experience due to charge at A. Now all of them are positive charges, okay, like charges. The question also says that all the charges that are kept at the corners are like charges, so they will all repel each other. If you consider the charge at B, it will get repelled by the charge at A. So the force will always act along the line. Okay, the force will act along the line joining the two charges. So this is a repulsive force, and that's why it is to the right. So this is the direction of the force. Let me write the force as F, and that F will be K Q Q1 Q2. Both the charges are same, so Q1 multiplied by Q2 will become Q into Q, which is Q square, divided by the distance between these two charges is D. So D square, that is the force experienced by charge at B due to charge at A. Now at the same point, the charge Q at B will also experience force due to C, charge at C. So that will also be along the line joining these two charges, okay, in this direction. How much will be that force? That force is also F only, same force, right? Because the charge at C is also Q, right? So how much will be the force? K Q1 Q2, which is Q into Q, which is Q square, divided by D square. Alright, now since they have said it is an equilateral triangle, all the angles will be 60 degree, okay, 60 degree. So that means here is also 60 degree, and the force between these two, the angle between these two forces is also 60 degree. And now how do you find out the resultant? If you remember, in your 11th you have studied finding resultant of two vectors, right? So the resultant is given by root of a square plus b square plus 2ab cos theta, where a and b are the two vectors, or in this case you can say a and b are the two forces, which are F and F, and the angle between those two forces is theta, 60 degree in this case. So in this case I can write the net force is nothing but root of F square plus F square plus 2 times F1 F2, or 2 times AB. AB both are F only in this case, right? 2 F into F is F square, cos of angle between them is 60 degree, right? So what do I get now? Square root of F square plus F square is 2F square, plus again this 2F square, cos 60 is 1 by 2. So now 2 and 2 will get cancelled, so you're going to get it as root of 3F square, right? And now this is nothing but root 3 times F. You can take this F square out of the square root, it will become just F. So that means the force acting on any one of the charge is root 3 times K Q square divided by D square. That is the net force on any one of the charge. Okay, that is the answer that we wanted. Alright, and now I can give you a homework problem. Okay, you can try solving that, and you can let me know the answers in the comment box. Alright, so the third question is homework for you all. Third question is, let us say I keep charges at the corners of a right angle triangle. Okay, same problem, but I have kept equal charges at the corners of a right angle triangle. Alright, so I have a charge Q here, have a charge Q here, I have a charge Q here, and the distance between any two charge, the distance between these two charge here is D, here is also D. They're asking you to find out the net charge acting on this charge kept at this corner here. Let me name the corners A, B and C. Okay, find the net charge, find the net force acting on the charge at C. Okay, so hope you got some idea of Coulomb's law. Okay, please solve this problem, and you can give the answer in the comment box. All right, so thank you all, happy learning. I will be seeing you all in the next video. Thank you till then.